So let's begin in a kneeling position and using a block only if you wish. So I'd like for you to bring your right leg forward and just placing your block on the inside of your right foot if the floor is feeling a little bit too far away today. We're checking that our knee is above our ankle, and we're checking that the weight is equal between the four corners of the foot. We're allowing the pelvis to descend. And at the same time that we're opening through the front of our hip, we want to engage through our left glute to help to inhibit and to help relax. So choosing to stay on the high end, the medium end, or removing your block altogether. You decide, dear yogis. And when you are ready, just pausing here for a moment. So when the time is right, I'd like for you to lift through the chin on your inhalation. And on your exhalation, just scooping the belly and deliberately tucking your tailbone. On the in-breath, opening through front body. And on the exhalation, could you engage your core a little bit more? So as we're moving with the breath, we're still working internally through the abdominals and through our left glute. Let's take one more, inhaling up. And on the exhalation, pause. I'd like for you to keep your back knee grounded if that feels best for your body, or lengthening through your back leg to create a little bit more of an active, dynamic stretch. Your hand will stay on your block. It'll be your left hand, and then right hand is going to reach high. On the exhalation, can you bring your elbow towards your block or towards the floor? So actively now working on a little bit of rotation. At the same time, we're maintaining hip extension. Breathe in. And the elbow may not come anywhere near your block or the floor yet, but as we continue to practice this hip mobility routine, this hip flexibility routine, it's amazing to see how the body transforms just through persistent, consistent effort. One more time, reaching high. And on this last one, just bring both hands to the earth again. You'll want to release your back knee for a moment. And then please just take a moment to spin through your left shin. And then we're coming up into just a modified, almost like a warrior two, but we're actually after the adductors. So in this position, we're stacking hip and knee. But in our right leg, the hip and the knee are tracking towards the second and the third toe. Just get used to this feeling first of descending through your right knee a little bit more. So as I shift my weight towards my right foot, I'm definitely going to feel an adductor stretch through my left inner seam. So on the exhalation, gently shifting. On the inhalation, returning, gently shifting, and on the exhalation, returning. One more time, we're going to pause and hold right here before we reach the hands behind our head. So now we're staying with the stretch and moving now through the upper body to just enhance what we are feeling. So on the exhalation, we gently dip into lateral flexion. On the in-breath, return, please. Exhaling. Inhaling. Last two as you are. One more time, but on this last one, I'd love for you to stay here. Please just pop your forearm onto your right thigh, and let's send our left hand overhead. So I'm shifting so that the knee is tracking towards the second and the third toe. At the same time, I'm rolling open and side bending. Let's take two more breaths as we are. You're welcome to look to the palm of your top hand if that feels good to your body. One more, please. Before we circle that arm all the way down and around, bring it into the curve of your lower back. And now take a moment to look over your left shoulder. So sinking into the right hip, opening through the left inner thigh, and creating just a gentle rotation through the cervical spine. One more breath in. And on the exhalation, gently releasing out of that stretch. We're going to swap to the other side. So when the time is right for you, you'll bring your left foot out to the end of your mat. And we're checking to begin with that we're stacking right hip over right knee. And then we began with just an active little bit of hip mobilization. So where we feel this will be just determined by where our restrictions lie. I'm kind of feeling it through this inner thigh, through this inner thigh. So 2 more if it feels okay. Your ears are stacked over your shoulders. Your shoulder is staying stacked over your pelvis. And we're working gently with the breath. Let's do 1 more. And then we'll pause and stay right here. So once you've arrived safely, just recorrect your position if you need to. And then hands behind your head as you take a breath in. On the exhalation, just ease your way over any amount that feels good to your body. On the inhalation, return. Did I say inhale twice? Exhale, gently side bend. Inhale to restack ear, shoulder, and hip. Let's do 2 more. 1 more time, please. As we gently pause here, we'll land the forearm. We'll encourage that leg open and forward. And when the time is right for you, reaching overhead if it feels available. Looking either to the front or the palm of your hand. So we're actively strengthening as we're stretching in this particular position. So pelvic floor, core is active. We're endeavoring to keep our right glute engaged as well. Let's take 2 more breaths. 1 more full deep breath in and out. Please reach that hand all the way around behind your waist and exaggerate the open rotation out to look over your right shoulder. So keep sinking forward, left knee towards your left second and third toe. Feeling the engagement of your hip stabilizers, your core stabilizers for 2 more breaths. 1 more, please, before gently easing your way out. And we'll come back to this end of the mat, and it will be your left leg that's coming forward. Stacking knee right above your ankle and checking that you've got great alignment of your hip and your knee over your ankle. Variation 1, hands on the high end of the block. Option 2 on the low end. And variation 3, we're just placing the block on the earth. When the time is right for you, we'll take an in-breath to open through front body. And on the exhalation, thinking angry cat as you tuck your chin and look towards your abdominals. On your in-breath, pull the hands towards your hips. And on your exhalation, press your hands forward to the top of your mat. Taking 2 more. Are you keeping pelvic floor, mula bandha, and your abdominal wall working? And are you also engaging through your right glutes to really open the front of your right hip? Last 2. One more time, please. And when you are ready, just pausing here, please feel free to stay with your knee grounded. Option to lift the back leg to make it a little bit more dynamic. So strengthening as we're stretching. And when you are ready, your right hand can stay on your block, and your left hand is going to reach high as you take a breath in. On your exhalation, we're leading with the elbow. It might not find the floor or your block, and that is totally okay. We're just moving through the range of motion that allows us to still maintain good alignment, good technique. And we're never ever forcing the body. We're breathing into the sensation, exploring range of motion. One more, please, as we take rotation. And then gently returning to pause here. We're releasing the hand to the earth, releasing the knee, and just take a moment to ease that leg back. Knees will come wide, big toes will come together just for a moment. I'd love for you to leave your toes tucked to really stretch the fascia on your feet. The fascia on the soles of our feet need stretching, need love as well. Just 2 more breaths. One more, please. Beautiful, crew. You'll ripple your way forward. You might even take a down dog briefly. And then moving to your pigeon pose with your right leg coming forward. Remembering 90-90 is perfect. Only easing your way up and over if that feels available for you. Your block could slide underneath your thigh if you feel like you need a little extra support there. I'd like for you to leave your left hand on the sole of your foot and your right hand by your knee. You'd like a little action in your back leg to engage your left glute. And at the same time, let's focus on heart opening, and that will really enhance what we're feeling through our left hip flexor. So take a breath in and really power your back leg. And on your exhalation, let your back knee relax as you let your head gently release. So as we ripple and rise, power into your back leg, really feel the engagement of your left glutes. And then gently release your knee, release your glute, release your head. Let's do 2 more. One more, please. Powering into your back leg, energizing your core, opening through front body as we breathe in. And on this exhalation, we'll gently, gently release all the way to the earth. Bring your right forearm across the top of your mat. Make any little readjustments you need. And please let your left toes relax. Taking 3 more breaths. For 2. One more full, deep, beautiful breath in and out. Please slide your hands just beneath your shoulders as you lift through your heart space. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. And once you've arrived there, we'll just step that foot through so we can pivot towards the long edge of our mat. So wide leg forward fold, bending your knees as much as you need, or bring a block in so that the floor is a little bit closer to you. Either position is perfect. We're just taking a moment to really lift through the heart. And on your exhalation, I'd like for you just to bend into your right knee a little bit. On your in-breath, keep the length of your spine. And on your exhalation, just bending into your left. Inhale to return. So maybe with each breath, there's a little bit more mobility that arises. Again, you'll feel this through the inner seam of the leg for most of us. One more each way. Inhaling, belly strong. Exhale, tracking the knee towards the second and the third toe. Inhaling to return. Exhaling to descend. As we come through this time, I'd like for us to stay on the right. And let's move our hands a little bit closer and turn the right toes slightly outwards. So in this position, we're descending through the knee. So bending into knee flexion, dorsiflexion through the ankle. And we'll feel quite likely our hamstring and our inner thigh through our right as well as our left. A little distraction tool, let's stretch our wrists at the same time. So turning your fingertips towards yourselves, towards your feet, and then gently pressing your elbow joints forward as you lift through your hearts. And let's just take 2 more breaths, pressing energetically into the pinky toe side of your left foot. 1 more breath, please. before gently releasing back to the midline. And before we come to second side, I'd like for you to take both hands to your calves, to your Achilles, and then just ease your way over so your chest is moving towards that thigh. Giving ourselves just a little reprieve. Your left hand will stay at your ankle, and maybe your right hand will loop into the curve of your lower back. And you're welcome to spiral to look over your right shoulder if that feels beneficial, beautiful, therapeutic to your body. Energize your feet, your legs, your core. One more full deep breath in, and on the exhalation spot the ground, releasing the option you took, inhaling to lift the heart, turning your left toes out, walking your hands towards that left thigh. So please check the alignment of your knee towards your pinky toe. So external rotation, and it's descending towards the second and the third toe. We need to energize this thigh and the outer edge of our foot before we take a gentle wrist stretch at the same time. So slide your shoulders, lift your chin, lift your belly, and finding breath. So strengthening while we are stretching. We want to be able to actively control the range of motion that we have from a flexibility standpoint. Let's take 2 more breaths. One more, please. Before gently releasing your hands, come back to the midline momentarily, realign your feet, and then both hands will drift across to your left leg. Snuggle yourselves in, bend your knees as much as you need. And then if you did on the first side, you are welcome to loop. It'll be your left hand into the curve of your lower back, and then spinning your torso towards your thigh, and only looking over your left shoulder if that feels really good to your body. Last 2 breaths. One more full, deep, beautiful breath in. Before gently returning your eye gaze, returning your hands, please lift your heads, your hearts, and we'll finish in frog pose. So giving you lots of options. I'm going to face the long edge of my mat, and I encourage you to do the same. I'm going to run out of space, but that's okay. So in frog pose, if you think really wide leg child's pose, but we're creating 90 degrees at the hip, the knee, and the ankle joint. In this position, we'll feel a definite intensity through the inner seam of the leg. Variation 1, we can stay high in the shape. Variation 2, your block can support your forearms, or you're welcome to come all the way down onto your chest with your arms reaching forward. In this position, the more I round through my spine, the less I feel I'm taking the muscles off of stretch a little. And then to exaggerate depth, if we lift the tailbone, lift the heart, we'll definitely feel more in the stretch. So just see if you can focus on your breath and allowing the body to relax a little bit more. If you're having any knee discomfort in this position, pillows underneath your knees feels really lovely. And I know for some of us, this is such a challenging position. So coming out of it as soon as you're ready, just a child's pose, please. So we're still lifting through the abdominals. We're still using our breath smooth and controlled. Just taking 2 more breaths as you are. And if you have a bolster at home, just to put it underneath your pelvis again, just take some of the strain away. Are you ready? Most of the time, we're definitely ready to come out of this one. So hands underneath your shoulders to begin with. And then really think angry cat, tuck your toes in, and then walk your knees in. And let's just finish laying on our backs. I'll spin this way. So a moment with your legs just grounded. And I'd like for you to cross your right foot over your left knee and just gently press your thigh away. This is all we're going to do. Just taking a moment here. So gentle external rotation through our right ball and socket joint in the hip. Sometimes this is all we need. Just a gentle, gentle focus on the front capsule of the hip. And some of us will feel this in the back of the hip as well. Just one more breath before you gently uncross and recross. So flex the foot, press your left thigh away. So when we pick up and thread through, we're definitely focusing on the back of the hip, piriformis, glute max, glute med. But with the right foot grounded and just the emphasis on pressing the left thigh wide, we're creating just a very gentle capsule stretch through the front and through the back of the hip. Sometimes less is more, and always good to explore different variations. One more breath before coming to your butterfly stretch, your Supta Baddha Konasana. And I'd love for you to either rest your hands on your top thighs to create a little bit more downward pressure with gravity. But if that is feeling a little strong today, I want you to support yourself by placing your hands gently underneath your thighs and just hold yourself a little. Either option is perfect. And as we close down the eyes, I want you to envision this amazing ball and socket joint. So freedom of movement in our hips allows the rest of the body to function better. But remembering we need to balance mobility, flexibility, and strength. So mobility is active range of motion. Flexibility, if we're talking passive, it's just allowing the body to relax into a range of motion. And then we want to make sure we have the strength and the stability to support our joints. So a healthy body has freedom of movement, but it is also strong and stable. Just 2 more breaths. One more, please. And when you are ready, let's bring our knees together. Hug our knees to our chest. Taking a moment to separate the knees, stand on the ceiling as you come into your final posture of happy baby pose. Ankles stacking over knees stacking over ankles. We're actively pressing our feet into our hands at the same time that our hands are pulling gently down on our feet. Your spine is long, your torso is soft, but we maintain just a tiny connection to pelvic floor and our abdominals. One last breath. Before hugging our knees into our chest, a gentle rock from side to side. Before rolling over onto whatever side is most convenient for you. And then press the earth away. Please come and help yourself. We have to do pigeon pose on the other side, puppy. So however we navigate our way to pigeon pose on the other side, Remembering that you have the opportunity to, of course, use your block underneath your pelvis to give you a little extra support, or coming into 90-90 instead. So on your tempo and on your own time, you're placing your right hand on the sole of the foot, placing your left hand just on the outside of the knee. And on your in-breath, lift your chin, lift your chest. On your exhalation, gently release your head, your shoulders, and your hearts. On the in-breath, tuck the toes, energize your back thigh, your right glute, before gently rippling your way down slowly and smoothly. Take 3 more. How powerful can you be in your right leg? On the exhalation, gently releasing and softening. Last 2. And lucky last one. Last one's always the best one. Energize, open, pause, and hold. And as you descend, we're placing our left forearm across the top of the mat, releasing our back toes, releasing our head, our shoulders, seeking length through our right leg still, and gently encouraging our right hip towards our left heel. Shoulders are soft, breath is smooth. Two breaths remaining. When the time is right, hands beneath your shoulders, lifting through your heart space. Tuck your back toes, scoop and lift, and let's just finish our practice in child's pose. Knees wide, big toes together, easing your way forward. Sky says, what about puppy pose? So that's your option with your tailbone high instead if your knees or your hips just don't like child's pose this morning. Close your eyes. Bow into the wisdom of yourself, surrendering all of your effort. This beautiful gesture of surrender, the wisdom of the heart, informing the body, informing the breath, and allowing the ego to bow to that wisdom, the higher wisdom of our hearts, our intuition, our inner guidance. Let's just take one more breath. And when the time is right for you, just ease your way up. And let's take one moment in a seated position, stacking our shoulders above our pelvis, drawing our chin gently in, sliding your shoulders back and down, feeling lightness and buoyancy through our heart, feeling a little bit more freedom and spaciousness within our hips, blessing our bodies, practicing gratitude for our bodies, bringing our hands to Anjali Mudra, taking one last unified breath together before closing our practice with a bow. Thank you, beautiful yogis. Namaste.